It's May 17th, and today we're going to plant Ashenominy, otherwise known as American joint vetch. Vetch is absolutely one of my favorite plants to plant here on the farm. And in fact, through the years, most of the biggest bucks I've ever grown could regularly be seen grazing in vetch fields all summer. Vetch is a very small seed, and it's a very expensive seed, so we mix it 50-50 with alyce clover, which costs a lot less, yet still has the same growth characteristics and management characteristics as the joint vetch. You can see we have the seed chart here, the seed selection handle set on 90. There is no setting for vetch in the book, so we went to Landino clover and found a setting for that, and are using that setting to compare to the vetch. So what we'll do is we'll actually put 1 acre's worth into the small seed box that you can see that right here, and go out and plant 1 acre and see how the settings work out. We have the coulter set to cut 3/8 of an inch deep. You don't need to have the vetch seed nor the alyce seed very deep. All they really need is good seed soil contact, and then with moisture they'll come right up. As I mentioned, the management characteristics are very much the same for both of these crops, so we'll let them go to frost. And usually here in Louisiana they'll go to seed, and they become a reseeding annual, a lot like crimson clover. So we got the drill ready, we have it all set up. We're going to inoculate it. They're both legumes, they both use the same inoculant, so let's inoculate some seed here and get it into the small seed box and head to the field. So what we're going to do now is put about a 1/4 bag each of the 2 bags there of the alyce and the vetch into each bucket. That way we can inoculate the 2 cultivars together as well as get them thoroughly mixed. Since these are fields that we hope through management we can keep growing for several years. We've had vetch fields last over 10 years before, so with proper management we hope that these fields will last that long. So we're going to try to be as precise as possible with the inoculant, with the mixing, and so from there, once we get these seeds mixed and inoculated, we'll move over to the scale here, and as I said earlier, we'll measure out exactly 20 pounds of the mix, and then we'll go out and plant 1 acre and make sure that we have our settings absolutely perfect. So the inoculant goes in, and it's convenient that they both use the same inoculant. The inoculant goes in. We'll take the shovel out, give them a good stir to make sure they're blended perfectly. Put a little sugar water on it just to provide a sticking agent. Can't hurt anything. And then give them a good stir to spread the inoculant around and make sure it's evenly distributed on the seed, and mix the 2 seeds together very thoroughly. And so we measure out 20 pounds. That equals 1 acre of planting. Going through 6 now. May take a couple of buckets full. Anyhow, we put out a total of 20 pounds, and then into the drill that will go. So we put the 20 pounds into the small seed box. The drill is all set. We get it evenly all the way across, and once we get the 20 pounds into the small seed box, it's off to the field to go do some planting. So we're in the field now and we're ready to go, and as is my nature, I found one more little thing I wanted to add to the mix. I was in Fredericksburg, Texas the other day at Wild Seed Farms, where they grow a lot of wildflowers. And I saw these pollinator mixes and these wildflower mixes that were designed for the South, and I couldn't help it. I had to buy it, so buy a batch of it. So we're going to throw that in the drill with the vetch, and will it come up or not? I don't know, but since we'll be managing this field as a reseeding annual, maybe the wildflowers will mix right in with it. So into the drill they'll go, and off we go with the planting process. One of the great things about vetch and alyce clover both is they can handle very heavy grazing pressure. So this field is a little smaller at only maybe 3 acres total, so I can get away with planting this here, and they'll handle the grazing pressure. On the left side of the road here, you can see I've had it in vetch for quite a few years now, so I've decided to go ahead and include the right side, which will bring the total of this field up to, as I said, about 3.5 acres. I'm excited about this area because years back, the biggest whitetail I've ever grown and hunted personally was seen almost every afternoon, late summer, coming in here feeding on the vetch. 220-inch 10-point. It was pretty exciting and pretty magnificent to come watch him in velvet right at dark. So the vetch, the alyce, and the wildflower mix are getting put into the ground now, and we'll plant exactly 1 acre, see how the seed's holding up, do any modifications that we need to do, and looks like we'll be able to get about 6 acres planted. Now that the drill's out of the way, you can see that all I've done to prepare this field for planting is to mow it very tight. There was a little bit of crimson clover that was in here, a little bit of Durana clover that was in here, and so we're just going to drill right into the clover and into the grass. As mentioned, the vetch and the alyce are very aggressive. Once they get going, they're very aggressive and they can compete with the weeds fairly effectively. So all I'll need to do is, if the weeds get too bad, if the broadleafs get too bad, I'll come in here and mow it high. The vetch will pop right up through that. It'll keep growing, as will the alyce, and it'll knock the broadleafs back, and ultimately the vetch and alyce will crowd out any broadleafs. So beyond that, I won't do anything to this field for the rest of the year. Now next spring what I'll do is I'll come in and I might scratch it very lightly with a disc. If I don't get much rain, I'll scratch it very lightly with a disc to let the seed base that's here get contact with the soil. Scratch it very lightly. I might even run the drill on it with a little light planting of vetch to fill any bare spots that might be there, but for the most part it becomes a very low maintenance, no maintenance field. Again, nothing for the rest of this year after this planting other than maybe the chance of mowing. Should there get to be some grasses in here, I can always come in and spray clothodium and kill the grasses and not harm the vetch or the alyce. So that's how we plant joint vetch. Love this plant. I can't say that enough, and excited to see how it works in this field. As I said earlier, I've said 6 acres. Actually, we'll be planting about 5 acres total, or 100 pounds. But 5 acres of vetch alyce goes a very long ways. And that, my friends, is Vetch Planting 101.